We are going to have our next panel is going to look at the startup culture in Japan. I know that we heard from Teru this morning, but I'm going to invite his colleague Bora Savash, who will moderate the next panel. Bora, do you want to come up and then introduce your panel? So why don't we give a round of applause to our next set of panelists who will talk about Japan. Great.
Thanks. Oh, thank you.
Can we maybe get, I'm going to move these glasses here and get you guys some fresh water. Look at that. Great. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks for this great organization again, and we are so happy having us here. So we have co-founder and CEO of SMS, Morofuji-san, Mr. Morofuji, and co-founder and CEO of akakche.com, and co-founder CEO of netprice.com. So I would like to start by introducing SMS. So can you give us a little description of your company and about your business, please?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Shuhei from Japan. I'm a founder and CEO of SMS. SMS stands for Senior Marketing System, not short message service. I established this company in 2003, and now we are listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Now my company's market capitalization is $500 million, and now we have around 600 employees, and we have already overseas offices. We have overseas offices in all over Asia. Now we have 12 countries. Now we have. I am looking for opportunity to set up company in Turkey. So now I'm very interested in Turkey startups in terms of IT healthcare. Thank you.
Okay. So you have a lot of companies around Asia. Do you think your business model is applicable to Turkey or around the countries of Turkey?
I think so, but I'm not Turkey. So I think we have to start with collaboration with a local player, because cultural background is totally different from Japan. So I want to collaborate with each other. But the situation is very similar, I think.
Mm-hmm. So are you interested in investing in Turkey or in Europe also?
Now we are focusing on all over Asia, including Turkey, so not Europe. So especially in Turkey, I'm very interested in, because if we have a subsidiary in Turkey, we can enter the Middle East market. Mm-hmm. So I'm very interested in this in Turkey, not Europe.
Mm-hmm. So exactly to healthcare, IT, business-related companies, would you be interested in investing in such companies, or different categories also is?
Only IT healthcare, especially in doctor-related service.
Mm-hmm. I see. And are you interested in investing by yourself, or co-investing with other venture capitals or other companies?
Most of all, we invest with local VC because we don't know the local situation. Mm-hmm. So I'm always tagged with local VC.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get back to Koray. You've been in Tokyo a couple of times.
That's right.
Last year and this year. So how do you see Japanese market and Japanese startup ecosystem from your point of view as a Turkish entrepreneur?
Okay, it's not a very long time and not a lot of visits. But again, it was very interesting experience for me, even in this time period. Of course, when you look at after a number of visits to some incubation centers and meetings with some players in the field, one thing obviously you see in Japan, in Tokyo, is the mobile. Mobile is the one thing, and also another thing that you can easily grasp from the field is the game, which is. This is not an analytical look, but this is what I observed so far. So mobile and gaming are the two words that I can immediately tell you about Japan, especially the Tokyo region. And I've learned that the Tokyo region is greater Tokyo area has a population of 30 million people. So even some US companies are doing their test runs for mobile gaming in Tokyo area, in that area, which is reasonable, I guess. So it seems to be a lifestyle rather than the sit-down console games, but you see it every day. People play with their mobile phones and with high penetration, very high penetration, close to 100%. And also you have 4G by now. So it all, I think, adds up this mobile gaming thing. This was one observation. Another interesting observation, not maybe a mainline, is the position of Yahoo, company Yahoo. It's a lot more different than Turkey, probably a little bit different than US. I've learned that Yahoo is a local shareholder, actually major shareholder, I guess, Mr. Son. And for that reason, Yahoo is a different thing, or a big player in internet area, and an important player in my area, in the area I'm interested in, e-commerce. So that was interesting. And together with that, I had the observation of you have big names in the industry, so very rich people, super rich people, actually. And this for me, this is an indication of the business structure. Mr. Son is one of the top richest guys, owner of the SoftBank, shareholder of the Yahoo, right? And yeah, shareholder of Alibaba, major shareholder, I guess. And also Mr. Mikitani of Rakuten, he is, again, one of the top 5. So this is one picture I would like to see in Turkey. I don't want this, I don't want this specifically for myself, but the day we have one of the top 10 richest persons from our industry will be very great to see from my point of view. It shows the dynamics and potential of the market. So that was another interesting observation for me. For the time, yeah, okay. I can summarize. For startups, maybe I can talk later on a few words.
All right. So we can get back to you again.
Yeah, it's good observation.
So Sato-san, Mr. Sato, I always say Sato-san. San means Mr. in Japanese, by the way.
Sato-bei.
Sato-bei. So you are a very global person and very global entrepreneur. You're investing a lot of countries. You're traveling like pilots, exposed by a lot of radiation. So how do you see the Japanese market and Japanese startup ecosystem?
Well, first of all, really, I'm very happy that we have Morofuji-san here and Koray here on the same stage.
Thank you.
And then thank you again for Bragg for inviting us. And then last year, actually, I promised to Bragg that I bring more delegates from Japan. This year, last year it was only me who was from Japan. And this year, I think, including Bora, we have 5. He's half Japanese. So very happy to have more Fujisan here. And then also, since last year, after this session, we made an official investment to Akakche. Now we became a strategic partner. So we have one annual shareholder meeting, one in Ankara and one in Tokyo. That's why he now often visits Tokyo, and very happy to have him here. And maybe hopefully next year we have more larger Japan session. That's really what my wish is. And we're talking about the Japanese startup ecosystem. I think it's more or less the same anywhere in the world. It's not that normal to found a new business, especially for Japanese mentality. It's kind of weird to start their own business, and it used to be very difficult to get funded from venture capitals like 20 years ago or 15 years ago. But this internet revolution happened, and then because of the economy is getting back. Now it's getting relatively, I wouldn't say easy, but relatively smoother to get funded. For example, I'll give you some numbers. So this year, only, it was last year. Last year, the new fundraising for venture capitals in Japan, it was $1.5 billion. So now about 1 billion to 1.2 billion new risk money is now flowing to the new startups. So relatively, it's getting more favorable for the Japanese startups. That's number one. The number two is actually the exit market is also getting very familiar. I'll give you also some numbers. So last year, about just slightly over 60 startups, not startups, but companies went public, newly listed to Tokyo Stock Exchange market. And out of that, 15 out of those 60 were actually internet-related service companies, mostly, as Koray said, mobile gaming company, but not only mobile gaming, but some e-commerce companies and some others. So I think exit market for Japanese startups are getting, again, favorable. But when we compare really to the size of that in the US, it's, for example, in the US, the venture capital money, 1 year, flowing into 1 year, it's actually $20 billion. So when you compare Japan and the US, it's 20 times larger. But still, for Japanese companies, compared to the past 20 years, it's getting very favorable. And then smoother to start new companies, and smoother to reach to the exit. So I think it's getting very much better in Japan.
I see. So can you tell us about the movements, dynamics, and changes in Asia market?
Yeah, well, I think in my mind, since we have this continent, we are sharing. I think that Turkey has a European aspect, of course, but also it has some, of course, Asian aspect. So I consider Turkey is also one of our Asian friends. By the way, I've lived in Italy before, so I also understand the European side too. So but anyway, thinking about Asia, well, number one, the population. Population, so for any kind of consumer-facing markets, population is everything. So, of course, the infrastructure in China 10 years back when Taobao started their business, marketplace business, it was bad. Like logistics was bad, payment, there was no one. So actually Taobao created this payment company called Alipay. So, but still the market grew. And then now the Taobao is the world's largest marketplace company. And then when you actually look into the market like Indonesia or India, Indonesia internet penetration is still like a 25%, which is relatively lower. And India, which is actually 12%, which is again relatively lower. But times population, then it becomes twice as big as Japanese population or 3 times bigger than Turkish population. So when you think of this growing market in Asia, I think the number one asset is that they have the population. But at the same time, there are, again, less risk money flowing into the market. And there are some angels who can put initial money. But there is a serious also Series A crunch. So no one can really put, not no one, but not many people, only a handful investors can really do the Series A. So we also have to change it as a kind of Japanese player also, to jumping into the market, to the investment, and to collaborate with entrepreneurs. That's what we are doing also. And then considering about the exit pattern, there are very less exits. So we also have to somehow manufacture the good exit patterns. As Koray said, I think I really agree with him that in Japan we have this Son-san, the founder of SoftBank, Mikitani-san, the founder of Rakuten, huge successes, model cases, I would say. And then in other parts of Asia, we also somehow have to create these success cases, successful cases, so that it can stimulate more risk money, more talents, and then create new innovations. So I think that is still lacking in other parts of Asia too.
About investment, what do you think about the further investments in Turkey or around the countries?
Well, okay, if you ask, I'm very much interested in the Turkish market, and we've been discussing with Koray and the current setup of e-commerce businesses, and then we understand that now Turkish economy is somehow in a kind of turbulence. But when you look at the long-term market opportunity, is tremendous because it has a population, it has a talent. And also short-term, there will be kind of new innovations should be brought by the entrepreneurs, especially for the smartphone area. And then, so very much optimistic. So we are, of course, seeking for new investment, continuously, if we can really feel the matches. So.
Okay. So Morofuji-san, your business is very deeply related to old age people. And Japan and Germany also has the same situation, but rather than the other countries, do you think you can do business in such countries? I mean, not old age countries.
As you know, Japan is a very aged country. I think world's #1 aged country, but I'm not yet aged. So I think Europe is also aged, but the rapidity is totally different from Asian aging and European aging. So we think aging rapidly is a similar situation in all over Asia in 2 decades or 3 decades, in next 2 or 3 decades. So we are waiting for the opportunity in 3 years. But now we have no market in most of all Asia. So now we are providing service in terms of medical care, a medical field. So for example, we provide a billing system for hospital, or a social network service for doctors or pharmacists, or something related to medical. But in next 20 or 3 years, we can have a chance to aging society. So now we are waiting. But medical market is very huge, so we are we have a chance to expand our business, we think. So this is our strategy.
Okay.
We all get old. But I think Japanese medium age of total population is actually 45, right?
Yeah.
45. In the US, it's 36. And here in Turkey, it's like 20 something.
27 or 8.
Japanese average will be 60 in 30 years.
So
can you imagine?
Aging population.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I should move back to Turkey again.
It's also an opportunity from one side, and there are downsides that you need to take care of course.
Which country would be the best option to start with, except Asia?
Except Asia.
Except Asia, to start a new business.
New business.
I mean, your health business.
Health business. I think Australia is the best, I think, because law is good and not aging. But medical field is rapidly growing, so I think in terms of medical, Australia is the best, I think.
Is it so difficult to start this health business because there must be a lot of regulations? Each country has its own different dynamics and different regulations.
Yes, we have 12 subsidiaries in all over Asia, but if we start from scratch, I think it is impossible to enter the market. So if we enter the market, we always start with local partner, because regulation is very complicated, and the cultural background is also very complicated. So we always have a partner in local. I think regulation and cultural background is very important for IT healthcare market, I think.
So Koray, you've been to Japan a couple of times, and you saw the market. And how do you see the e-commerce, maybe price comparison market compared to Turkey?
It's Japan has a different culture, not from Turkey, but from rest of the world. It's very unique, a great culture, but there are some differences. But what is very interesting to me was in price comparison area, when we look at the use cases, the patterns that consumer reach for the products that they want to buy, I can say that it's 90% same. It's very interesting. Maybe just one little difference, that in Japan you have a more written culture, and in Turkey we have more vocal culture. So when you give a person the option of calling to a seller and writing an email to a seller, a significant portion in Turkey prefers to call and talk to a person. But in Japan, as far as I've learned, it's the other way.
We are so shy.
But it's a cultural difference. But other than this kind of points, I can say that 90% the same. They do the comparison. They look for the deals. Everyone search for deals. They look for to spend the money wisely, and interesting.
So I think it's the last question to Sato-san. You've been to Turkey a couple of times, so you've met a lot of Turkish entrepreneurs. What do you suggest to Turkish entrepreneurs?
Okay. Well, to Turkish entrepreneurs specific to Turk entrepreneurs. Okay. Well, actually, the first time that I visited Turkey, it was 21 years ago, pretty long time ago. And then 2 years back, I came here again, and I was just so shocked of the changes, improvements, and a new business really happening here. So, and I think it will continue more rapidly for next 10 years. So lots of chances, lots of opportunities. How I observe it. And people claim that there are too many problems, like regulations, money risk, no one that much doing kind of a acquisition or any others. But I think problems are mother of innovation anyway, and especially in the emerging market, this problem-solving approach will create tremendous business opportunities. Like the cases in China, like the cases in India. There are lots of problems laying down, and then maybe would never solved by the authority for next 10 years, 20 years. So it's the entrepreneurs, they have to solve the problems, and then it will turn out to be a very great business opportunity. So that's really how I observe. And I personally really think that there should be lots of rooms that the Japanese companies, not only like those big companies like Toyota or Honda, but also those internet technology companies, internet service companies, can collaborate with the Turkish companies. And also Turkish companies can come over to Japan, and then hopefully, my dream is actually, in the near future, there will be some Turkish companies being listed in Tokyo, because we observe those similar patterns from Korea, China these days. So I really would like to see that to be happen. And then we would like to contribute to make a kind of that bridge.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have any questions from the audience?
Come on, audience. We got a whole panel of experts here from Japan.
About the stock price.
I have a question about, in terms of the Japanese bringing Turkish companies there. Are there other markets in the region that you're looking at to bring into Japan?
Well, certainly Chinese companies, Korean companies are really entering aggressively to Japanese market, and some companies again listed to Tokyo market. So that's one. And then, for example, India companies. India has with this engineering talent, they are also penetrating and then buying some, software asset so that they can and they're also selling their software asset. So yeah, there are lots of companies from overseas getting entering to Japanese market, either with the local collaboration or making some acquisitions. So that's how I observe.
Great. Okay. Do you have a question? Yes, please. Do we have a microphone?
Çok sağ olun. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Gerçekten mükemmel bir program. Tercüme olacak mı?
Siz söyleyin, ben tercüme ederim.
Tamam. Şimdi Azerbaycan'dan Kafkas Üniversitesi Teknoparkı'nın genel müdürüyüm İsa.
He's part of the in Azerbaijan, part of the Techno University.
Daha startup yeni gelişmekte olan ülkelerde, startupların yeni gelişmekte olan ülkelerde, diyelim Azerbaycan'da tavsiyeleriniz ne olabilir? Mesela Azerbaycan'da bu sene 2014 yılı sanayi ili ilan olundu. Neler tavsiye edersiniz? Çok sağ olun.
So he's asking for countries like Azerbaijan that are really new to the startup scene. What kind of recommendations do you have for countries that are just really starting on their trek for in terms of entrepreneurship?
No, it's a difficult question for me. But can I just make a comment? Maybe you guys will. So I've been to Myanmar, by the way, last June. And Myanmar has just reopened the country. And it has been so many years isolated because of the political reasons. But I observed lots of local entrepreneurs having and growing their businesses. And I asked the question, how did you get funded? To those, Myanmar, the entrepreneurs in Myanmar. And they said, somehow. Seriously, I think this is very important. I think any innovation is really happening every corner of the world. And entrepreneurs have to be really creative somehow to make money and maybe to get funded or maybe to borrow someone, anyway, anything. But in a country like in Myanmar, it's one of the lowest GDP per capita country. It's one of the lowest in Asia. But the business is popping up. So I think it's the same for other countries now evolving in the market. So that's how I see. And I haven't visited Azerbaijan yet, so I cannot comment that deeper. But I think that's a general characteristic of the entrepreneurs, and then pretty much optimistic about that.
Is there anything you would like to add?
Oh.
Okay.
Somehow.
Interesting.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Modi.
gentlemen. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bora,
Thanks.
for moderating that really terrific panel. Thank you.